Appreciate it. So, hey everybody, if we haven't met yet, I am David Johnston. I am one of the open source contributors to Morpheus since last year, and happy to help put on this community event. Good to see a lot of friends here from Toronto. It kind of gives me 2014 vibes. I came here for the 2014 Bitcoin conference in Toronto and crashed on Trevor Kavorko's couch and hung out with the Ethereum and other early crews. And that's kind of what's going on. The idea of decentralized AI, the idea of having a personal AI built on open source that's controlled by you is, I think, really important. And so the community's been putting on these events in Denver, at DevCon, at East Denver, at San Francisco, Austin, New York, been in Brussels, just came back from the Decentralized AI Day in London, and so glad to be here in Toronto today. It's going to be pretty informal. We've got people that are going to be doing tech demos, showing off multi-agent technology. Taco's going to be talking about manifests and other cool stuff, but the whole point is for us to hang out, right? To connect all the people here in Toronto that are interested in this subject with each other, right? So there's large sections of time for us all to hang out. So if you're in this room, try to focus on the content, and then we'll break out after about an hour, 30 minutes of hangout. We'll do a couple more sessions, and then we've got lunch at 1 o'clock. So that's kind of the concept. But before we kick off, I wanted to kind of just give some of the background and the history. Who's already familiar with Morpheus and decentralized AI in general? So maybe about half the people or more. But this came out of a paper that was published last September that proposed the idea that everyone should have a personal AI, that there ought to be a network that provides the compute, capital, code, and rewards agent builders, right? So that we can build this entire decentralized AI tech stack. And that idea just really took off, right? Then a bunch of regulations came out in the EU and the US, and they're like, oh, we don't like the idea of open source. And that just sort of put a fire under everybody even more. Do we have to build this now? We have to release this now. We have to decentralize this. So it's been really amazing to see it come together, right? Within a few months, the smart contracts were launched. Morpheus went live. There's an entire ecosystem of agent builders and projects now that are using the smart contracts. I think over $1 billion has now gone through the smart contracts that the Morpheus community built to allow people to provide staked ETH and for that yield to go into the protocol and sort of create a new way to do fair launches. So that concept has really taken hold, and there's now an entire platform called MOR20 where anybody can launch their own project. And you don't need a company, you don't need a Swiss foundation. It's just all done in the smart contracts, right? So we saw Nounspace launch just a month or so ago and raise over $10 million in a week from their community by people staking towards their project and want to support the development of their open source, right? So people are adopting this idea of sort of a new way to do not a token sale, but a community-first fair launch. I think is a really important concept because, amazing technology came out of the ICO wave of 2017, 2018. Many of the protocols we're using today were funded back then, but there was all this centralization around, a company or a foundation or somebody had to hold the crypto. So the idea of having a non-custodial way where the community holds their own value and can withdraw it whenever they want, I think it's a brilliant improvement to sort of how we build this industry. So that's sort of on the capital side. And then, we're seeing this wave of agents, and all of that is so critical because I think often open source gets pigeonholed into the back end. It's protocols, it's for engineers, it doesn't face the user, right? And that's one of the things I really liked about the Morpheus paper is it set aside so many of the rewards for people building in the community that wanted to create the actual agents and websites and interfaces that end users would use, right? So that you can get the entire tech stack, not just the protocol and compute, but also capital and coders and the community builders, right? I think that's been a missing piece if you want better UI in crypto, you have to reward it, right? And so that's been so cool. So, you know, I'll keep those comments short, but that's the core concept here, is bringing together all the people that are building different parts of that tech stack, whether it's the people building the agents or folks like Manifest and others that are doing things with decentralized hosting. But you know, this is all kind of coming together right now. We're only about a month away, because it's in testnet right now, from the decentralized router and all of the compute aspects being decentralized. And then the last piece in the Morpheus tech stack is the developer builder rewards. And those probably, looks like they'll go live next month as well. So sort of this whole new platform is emerging piece by piece and being built by the community. But in the absence of a company, there's no foundation, right? This is just being built by all of us, right? So there's almost 300 code contributors now in the Morpheus ecosystem. 5,000 or 10,000 people have provided capital. And so hopefully if you're here today, you're thinking about creating agents or getting involved in some way and contributing to the open source and building this out. Because I think what's going to happen is when these marketplaces go live, there's going to be a Cambrian explosion of agents that people start offering because they can get rewarded to do so, right? And we'll start to finally have an interface in Web3 that is just me talking to the machine. Here's what I want to do. I want to stake my ETH. I don't know how to do that, but it can help me do that. It understands the intent of what I'm trying to accomplish, connects me with the right agent to do that, and I can safely take that action by pushing one button on MetaMask, right? That's the future I want to see, is that's how we get to 1 billion users, is we have to make it that dead simple, right? There aren't billions of technical people on Earth. They're not all going to learn how the protocols work, and that's okay, right? But to serve those people, we need to simplify the interfaces, and I think this is our big opportunity to do that. So anyway, without any more further ado, why don't we bring up our first speaker, and we'll learn about the multi-agents that they're putting together. I think she's got a bit of a tech demo for us today, which I'm excited about. These events are primarily built for us to kind of dive in deeper. So think much more like a DevCon and less of a consensus, right? It's about bringing the 100, 200 people focused on this subject, they're the real builders in this area, to go in depth, meet each other, and build out this community. I think that's sort of the critical role in